afternoon and a very good evening. I'm Sam Ellie and this is Lonely Heroes, the show that shares stories, tips and tricks with those moving abroad and the as yet undecided.
My name is Tamsin McMaster and I'm from the south of Johannesburg in a little town called Alberton.
Are you aware of Trevor Noah?
Yes, he's our national treasure.
On The Daily Show back in 2019, he said among the top 5 sexiest accents in the world, according to a global study, South Africa was one of the top ones.
I don't believe that at all. I don't buy it. It's such a butch accent. There's nothing sexy about it. It's so like harsh. But there's different types of accents within South Africa, I'd say, so it depends kind of which one he was talking about because we have 11 official languages.
He mentioned the Nelson Mandela accent. He did the accent and then he went, oh, that actually is quite sexy.
Yeah.
I don't really know what the other regional accents were that he did.
My accent is, because I speak Afrikaans as well, so it's like a medley of English and Afrikaans, but then you've got people who just speak English and then they sound a bit more, I guess you could say, posh. I don't know. Also, depending on which area you live in, for example, how people from Liverpool sound different to people from Manchester here.
There's like 18 different dialects in the UK.
Yeah.
And speaking of, welcome to London.
Thank you.
How long have you been here? Are you a newbie? Would you class yourself as a newbie?
I'd class myself as a newbie just because I've only been here under 2 years.
Right.
I'd say newbie for sure. I think you can only classify me as like I don't know, a pro?
A pro?
What would the opposite of newbie be? Of like a...
Oldie?
Oldie?
That's me. I've been here like...
Your whole life?
Pretty much. I did a sort of stint away, hence why I know it can be quite lonely in a place that you've moved to. I moved to Paris at one point. But yes.
Ooh.
So what was the kind of thinking behind moving to London all the way from the different continent that is Africa?
Yeah. There's multiple reasons, right? Because you're not just going to move based on one reason alone. A catalyst for me was that my sister was moving over and we were really close, but then couple that with the fact that crime's really bad in South Africa. There's days where you don't have access to electricity or access to water. Just to preface this though, it's a beautiful country.
Despite the crime and the security.
Yeah, despite the crime and like the state of the nation itself. It's beautiful. We've got ocean, we've got bushveld, which is my personal fave, and we've got desert, forest, whatever the case, and also different cultures, so it's very culture rich, and the people are great when they're not robbing you.
Oh, God. Well, people are great here when they're not robbing you either, so I mean, that's a fair... What are the sort of key differences between Joburg and London? Because I don't know anything about Johannesburg. Is it like a bustling city?
There is like a city centre, but then Joburg, I'd say, is quite like widespread. I'm from the south of Joburg, which is a bit suburban and residential, and I feel like a lot of Joburg is actually like that. I'd say the main difference is space, because you get more bang for your buck in terms of space in South Africa. My apartment was a 1-bedroom and it was the equivalent of £200 rent.
That is not a thing.
No, you can't get anything for that. Yeah, like gosh, can't even get a parking space. So. And also there's so much more nature and just like birds chirping outside, just like pigeons and homeless people outside.
If your life was a series, what would the name of the chapter or the season be for now Tamsin living in London?
I do feel like it's the busiest I've ever been, but at the same time also the happiest. So I'd say like chaotic bliss, but also hot mess express. It could go either way. It depends on...
Season 3, Hot Mess Express.
Yeah, like I don't know. There's so many actually you could do.
Could do a whole series.
Yes.
A whole
I
Shondaland.
actually think it would be funny just to follow me around. Like some of it makes me sound like I'm so into myself, but my sister was on the phone with me the other day. 3 funny things happened within that conversation alone, and she's like, you really just need a camera crew following you.
I mean, I'd watch it.
It's embarrassing for me.
I'd watch it. I mean, embarrassing content is great. Look at what I'm doing to myself. Yeah. What would be a sort of typical weekend or like chill time for you in London?
So chill time for me, I'd say spending time with my nephew. Other than that, if I'm in London, because he's like a little bit further north, I don't know if you've heard of Letchworth Garden City.
I've heard of Welwyn Garden City.
It's kind of like the same thing.
Somewhere on the outskirts of,
yeah,
of
yeah,
London.
yeah. It's that direction. If I'm in London, then I go see friends, like trying different restaurants and exploring, like things to me that are cool, like St. Paul's Cathedral, which I think you guys do on like school trips.
I've never been inside St. Paul's Cathedral. I've been up next to it, and it's a big
Yeah, it's a big
cathedral.
building.
It's a big
Yeah.
one. I've been to one you change, the bar that sort of you go up a
Yes.
lift or an elevator if you're American, and you can see St. Paul's Cathedral, and you can go onto a rooftop bar and kind of look at it and take pictures and things. But I have never been inside it.
No, it's beautiful inside. You can get the year-long pass and then just go in there whenever you want. But buildings like that are so cool because it really just shows, like, you've got like old architecture and then new architecture, and it's all mixed together in a very beautiful way. So I love also just walking through the city. I find that very calming. The river's calming.
The Thames.
Walking along the Thames.
That's
Don't you
cute.
feel like being near water? It's so lovely.
It's supposedly calming, yeah. It's supposedly good for your mental health, actually.
Yes.
Which brings me on to my next question. Last week was Mental Health Awareness Week.
Yeah.
Is there something that you do to boost your mental health? People have started doing puppy yoga, running, drinking. No, that probably wouldn't do it. That's bad. No, that's
what
bad.
we
No,
do.
that's what we do. That's what we're doing right now,
Wow.
actually.
Yeah.
Cheers. Nice, Captain Morgan. Trying new food spots. I love doing that, even though I proclaim not to be a foodie. However, I do try different
It's so
foods.
easy to be a foodie in London because you're never going to run out of options. You're always going to have somewhere new to go to. So I think that's good. But also, if you don't want to spend too much money, I'd say another thing that you could do to like just ground yourself and your mental health is spend some time in nature. A little walk near the Thames and just to get some quiet time and just calm your mind. That's really good for mental health. And then also a book I've read called The Body Keeps the Score, which I highly recommend. It's such a good read, but it's a scientific explanation about how the body and the brain processes like trauma and anxiety and stuff like that. And I think it just really helps you be self-aware in when you are going through some mental health issues, why is your body having that kind of reaction?
Yeah.
So it makes you almost process it a bit better. It's just good to arm yourself with that kind of knowledge.
So you're not just kind of like, why is this happening to me? There's not a real explanation. Makes you feel more sane, I guess.
Yes, I guess so. I mean, I feel like everybody kind of battles with anxiety, especially with how fast-paced society is these days, and I haven't met someone that doesn't actually deal with anxiety. So it's just good to know when you have those feelings and you don't understand where they're coming from. It's just your body's just doing its thing.
It's just working stuff out.
Yeah, exactly. Just let it be.
Top food spots. You mentioned you had a list.
Yes, I do.
also have a list.
Okay, we need to
compare lists. Are there any that stick out to you as someone that went to an Italian this weekend? Would that be on your top 3 to 5?
Italian food is my favorite cuisine. Obviously, carbs and cheese. So say less. I've been to Manteca in Shoreditch. That's a really good one for pasta. Pizza, I want to try Chris Pizza, but I also do rate Pizza East again in Shoreditch. Have you been there?
I've been to Pizza East in King's Cross, maybe? No, it's Pizza Union. I'm getting that mixed up.
Actually, Pizza Union I rate because they're really affordable. It's like £7 a pizza, and it's like thin base and it's crispy. The pizza places, I know I got you.
That's your go-to.
Yes, pizza.
That's your comfort food.
Yeah.
I want to beat. Well, not that there are any rainy days at the moment. Fingers crossed that stays the case.
Yeah, I think tomorrow it's going to hit us, by the way.
Crap. I actually went to a Filipino sharing plates place. Didn't know those existed, but you know, it's London, so a lot of things do exist.
But is it like family style, so everybody...
It's kind of like tapas, but Filipino tapas. We had these dumplings that were just... I've never really used the term foodgasm, but these were incredible. Like the sauce, we dipped the bread in it, we dipped everything in it because it was so great.
I love things with good sauce. There's this dish in South Africa called the trinchada. I don't know if I'm saying that right, trinchada. But it's like a Portuguese South African medley, and I always get it with a roll and then dip it, and then... Sorry, you're going to make me hungry now. I want to go eat.
We can go for dinner after this.
Yeah.
I know that you are a huge advocate for London, and me too.
Yes.
But there may be some things where you're kind of like, this isn't exactly what I thought it would be. So we're going to play a game of, it's called Red Flag. I'm going to say something about London or Londoners or the culture in London, and you're going to tell me whether you think it's a red flag or not. The London Underground or the Tube.
red flag.
And why do you think this is?
It's just so overwhelming to the senses, I'd say, because there's so much going on, and it's really gross and muggy, and you know, you've got people like clipping their toenails, and then other people like digging in their noses. But then simultaneously, it can be one of the most entertaining places because you see some wild things on there.
What's the wildest thing you've seen?
I saw that influencer who he pretends to like make an announcement over the, I don't know, the intercom.
What the next station is
Like that. Or if they like, oh, you know, held at a red signal and you hear it, he's got like a speaker that sounds like that. He'll like get people that are drinking, because you're not supposed to drink alcohol in the tube, and so he'll like call them out on it, and then you see them like hide the alcohol in their jackets or whatever and get all sheepish about it, and then when they realize that it's just him sitting in the corner, it's like really funny.
I've never heard of that.
I'll send you a link.
And speaking of drinking,
yeah.
the London drinking culture.
Yeah, I'd say red flag.
Okay.
It's not healthy for you, is it? So,
no.
But then at the same time, I partake, so I'm like on the fence. But I will say I am really good at moderating it. So if I know I'm going to have like a boozy weekend or a boozy Thursday night, which I feel like Thursdays have become the new Fridays.
Yeah, pretty much. Especially if you've got a 3-day week at work.
Yes. Like work from home Fridays.
Yeah.
People just tend to go out after work on a Thursday. But if I know I'm doing that, then I won't drink like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Just because everything in moderation, right? But if you're overcooking it a bit, then
red flag. So everything in moderation. That's actually a fair thing to say.
Yeah.
The British cuisine.
I'm like, I love London and the UK, and I'm like, red flag, red flag, red flag.
These are hard ones.
Yeah. Do you mean like bangers and mash and
bubble and squeeze?
I cannot think of anything worse than mushipi.
Fun fact. Well, I think this is a fun fact. They dye it green. It's not really that green.
Like, is it super pale and like beige? And that's.
They make it bright green.
Wow.
British food, everyone.
You're selling it. You're really green flag? No. I'd say no, but I mean, also I'm not big on fish and chips either. I would say they can improve on that.
It's a good thing there are Italian restaurants and other cuisines in London, is what you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
Having moved all the way from Johannesburg to London, if someone is in the same position as you, who's kind of on the fence about moving, what would you kind of say to them about London, about moving in general? What kind of advice would you give?
I'd say manage your expectations, because it is going to be wildly different, but at the same time, you're not going to have like, your life's going to be perfect and it's going to be living in bliss. I think actually the only place where you'd get that is Finland. I read an article that they have the happiest people in the world living there. But anyway, that's besides the point.
Basically, if you're thinking of moving to London,
don't
move to Finland instead.
Coming here first and checking it out, seeing if it's your vibe, and then doing research into like how the locals live and what they kind of battle with. Like cost of living crisis is something I was not prepared for. When I got my job offer and converted the salary into rands, I'm like, this will be great, I'm gonna be living the high life. And then you come over here and it's like, ooh, going to be paying almost $2,000 rent. Like, I feel like change is as good as a holiday. So if ever you do any of these experiences, it's never going to be bad for you.
Just do your best.
I'm just trying my best.
I believe you. This has been Sam Ellie on Lonely Heroes and Tamsin. Is it McMaster?
McMaster, yeah.
McMaster.
Yeah.
Have a great day, everyone.
Yeah,
and
cheers. Guys. Drink responsibly.